So, Spongebob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated got released last week, and, well, I got done playing it. So let's get into it. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Brockopp side, a place for those who live, talk, and buy movies. I feel like you fall into one of those categories, hit that subscribe button down below. But anyway, I was super stoked to pick up Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated because I love the original game so much. Not because I played it as a child, actually. I actually didn't play it until about 4 years ago. But when I finally did play the original game, I fell in love with it instantly. It just feels like the ultimate SpongeBob fan experience you could possibly have. I mean, it's an entire game built around going around Bikini Bottom, all the memorable locations from the show you could think of, plenty of character cameos. You play as SpongeBob, Patrick, Sandy, who is arguably the best character to play as in the game because, you know, she's got the lasso and the karate. So the prospect of getting to play this game all over again, but with some shiny new PS4 graphics, I was like, sold! So just to expand upon my thoughts of the original game, it came out in 2003, and it's basically a 3D platformer of sorts like a lot of games at the time were from the 90s into the early 2000s, where you're hopping around on platforms, going through obstacles, puzzles, and collecting lots of objects in order to move on to the next level and things like that. I've seen some reviews of this particular game, the remaster, that people were complaining like, you know, it's a platformer, it's kind of outdated, it's from the 2000s, which, what exactly did you expect? You know, it's not like it's a remaster of a game from like 2-3 gaming generations ago, so if you like 3D platforming, you'll enjoy this game. If you never did, well then, why are you even trying to play the game to begin with? But something I've always enjoyed about these kind of games, 3D platformer games, is the fact that it's just unapologetically a video game. You know, it's got a bunch of wacky levels where you're going around on moving platforms and, you know, characters are just giving you the tutorial like, hey, push this button to do this move. I just really like that it's just, you know, straightforward with its video game. You know, it's not like trying to hide the gameplay mechanics into like, you know, personal monologue and things like that. You don't have SpongeBob going around going, oh man, there are enemies nearby. If I use the bubble bowl, I could take them out. No, it's more like Mr. Krabs will be like, oi me boy, press this button to do the bubble bowl. But terrible Mr. Krabs impression aside, the PS4 version of this game looks absolutely beautiful. It's so vibrant, and buildings and characters are so much smoother. There's so much more texture to things. You can just see the detail on SpongeBob's sponginess. And when I went back and compared the graphics on the original PS2 version to the current PS4 version, it's like, whoa, there is a major difference in graphics there. But don't get me wrong, the original still looks really good for its time, but wow, getting to play it with these really shiny new HD graphics was worth it alone. Now, all that being said, this game is not without its problems, both that were present in the original game as well as the new HD version. You know, some of the things that are still present in the original game as well are, you know, the fact that the camera is not quite as responsive and smooth as we're used to nowadays. You know, that was an issue with just a lot of games back then because, you know, graphics and game mechanics weren't quite up to the speed that we're used to nowadays. They were still trying to figure everything out. So, you know, it would have been nice if they could have tried to improve the camera in this game a little bit more, but honestly, it's not a huge deal. It just takes a little bit of getting used to after a while. But honestly, with the newer game, most of the issues I came across were like little kind of nitpicky graphical type stuff, like the water graphics in this game. They look kind of weirdly glitchy, you know, they kind of look like this when you stare at them for too long. And every so often you run into boss battles in this game where you fight giant evil robot versions of SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy, and throughout it you get the realistic fish head that comes into the corner and announces it like it's a wrestling match or something, which is really, really cool, but like 2 out of 3 times the fish head would just stay stuck on the screen well after I'm done with that boss battle, and it wouldn't go away without having to stop the game, restart it, go back to the menu, come back in, which is just really annoying because, you know, it does kind of screw up the flow of the gameplay a bit when you just have this giant realistic fish head just yapping away, but no words are coming out. And it also seems like with this remaster, they cut corners in a couple of weird spots, like in order to get to certain parts of Bikini Bottom, like Jellyfish Fields and Goo Lagoon and stuff, you have to unlock it with golden spatulas, and then once you do, in the original game, a taxicab will pull up and take you through that location, but here, no taxicab shows up, it just cuts the loading screen, then it takes you to the location, which, you know, kinda could seem like a little thing, but, you know, it was just kind of fun in the original game to have this taxicab pull up and take you away. It's just kind of one of those weird things where it's like, why get rid of it? It was cool. Now I'm kind of bummed that it's not there. And one of the selling points of this remaster was the fact they were going to have new content from the original game they couldn't fit into the original game because of time and budget restraints, including a brand new Robo-Squidward boss battle. Now the problem with that is, it's on the multiplayer version only, which is also a new function of the remaster. But the thing is, I don't have any friends with a PS4 that also have this game, so I couldn't play it remotely, and also there's nobody around here that wants to play this multiplayer with me, so I couldn't even try it out. But from what I've heard about the multiplayer, I'm not really missing out on much. It just seems like 25 levels of monotonous smash the robots and then you fight Robo-Squidward, so kind of a bummer, but also I think I might have saved myself a little bit of grief there. Now, with all of those issues aside, every little mistake and error and complaint I just made, I could forgive all of that, but there is one major thing wrong with this remaster that I was really hoping they would have done something about, but they did not, and I will forever be upset about that. In the Jellyfish Fields portion of the game, Mrs. Puff needs Patrick to do this quick thing with a puzzle, and then comes back and gives him a spatula. But here's the thing. In the original game, Patrick asks if he can have a cookie. Mrs. Puff says no. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe they'll do something about that. But no, Patrick still asks for the cookie, and Mrs. Puff still won't give him the goddamn cookie 17 years later. That really upsets me. Hey, Patrick, so, I know this is like 17 years in the making, and Mrs. Puff still won't give it to you, but, here, have a cookie. You earned it. Well, go on, don't be shy. Come on, take it, bitch! But all cookie-related grievances aside, I still had a blast getting to replay this game with some shiny new graphics on my PS4 and my HD TV, so that was really worth it alone, getting to experience the game kind of sort of all over again, but still have that familiarity of the original. So I had a lot of fun with this. You know, some people have their complaints about it, but for me, it was totally worth the $30 to get the new version. But, you know, now that I keep thinking about it, the fact that they got this game really makes me wish they would do a remaster of the SpongeBob movie game made by the same company, because that game is truly the SpongeBob game that I grew up with. I clocked in so many hours trying to collect Goofy Goober tokens and drive the paddy wagon around. Now, that game will probably never get remastered because, well, it's a movie-based game from, you know, 16 years ago, so, like, what's the point? But, you know, I can dream, can I? So if you want to see some more videos from me, you can check out this playlist right over here. And if you want to see what YouTube recommends you watch from me next, you can check out that video right down there. And of course, subscribe if you live talking by movies, and we'll see you on the Brockopp side.